Afternoon, it's Cara from Biancareads and you're on my dining room table. So today we are reviewing this. I'm reviewing this for you. This, ooh, it's shiny. Ooh, ooh. This is Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor, and this is the third in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, and it has feels. Lots and lots of feels. The first book in the trilogy is the Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Beautiful cover, beautiful. Oh, let me adore it. Let me love it. It's so pretty, pretty. Yay for UK covers. And the second novel, is Days of Blood and Starlight. These novels, including this, let's go back to this one. This glorious piece of work. These novels are like the epitome of young adult fantasy. It's like kind of urban, kind of high fantasy, bit of both. It switches between the two in a very realistic way. But then this book here, somehow also brings in like sci-fi elements, which weren't really present in the first two, but that somehow just make it work. And I just never felt more in love with the young adult sci-fi. And it's like, it's not even really sci-fi, it's just a little bit sci-fi. And I love it. I love it. It's just, I love it. So if you didn't already know, this series has kind of been like raved about for its prose and the way it words things. It just gets in there, and emotions and feels. And like, Laini Taylor, you're a goddess. Like, she is a goddess. And somehow she just manages to convey emotion through the way she phrases sentences. Like, is that weird? I don't think that's that common. This does that. And I don't feel like that many books do that. And that makes me happy. Really, really happy. Because this is glorious. I feel like I've said that a lot, but I just have no bad things to say about this. It's just... Even this cover, so pretty. So pretty. It's shiny. But those birds and... I was kind of thinking about holding out until it came out in the little cover, because I do love this black with the design. I really like that, but I just couldn't wait for this book. I'd read, actually, when I bought this, I hadn't even read the first two, but it was worth it. I marathoned the whole series in 2 weeks, and that's pretty good for me. That's going pretty good. And this, just talk about getting your cake. You'll get it if you've read them. The characters in this novel are just spectacular. And somehow I've fallen in love with more of them than I was in the first two. And I loved a lot of the characters in the first two. I mean, Karu and Akiva, the main characters, I'm still there with them. But it's just... this is just... So if you don't know, this series follows a girl who has been kind of adopted by the devil, but he's not... let's clarify. Adopted by a demon, let's say. It's not really the devil, but devilish in nature, kind of. And he collects teeth in exchange for wishes. So he gives out wishes and collects teeth. And it's kind of a little bit, what's going on here? Like, why is he collecting teeth? That bit's part of the really good mystery of this book, of this series as a whole. And so that's about as much plotline as I'm going to give you, except there's angels and demony people and humans, and it's glorious. And Karoo is our main girl, Akiva, the angel, and there's a whole bunch of other characters that I just really adore. Like, I really love Ziri. Oh, if you've read the first two, you'll know my love for Ziri. Well, you won't know my love, but you'll know the love for Ziri. You just, whenever I felt like crying or laughing most in this book, no, mostly the crying. Let's say mostly the crying. Cries of joy and sadness, mainly due to Ziri, because he had my heart. In this book particularly, I started loving Liraz more, and I mean, I still love Akiva and Karoo, they still get me, but Susanna and Mick and Liraz and Ziri, and just, they got me. The assortment of surrounding cast, accessory characters, I don't even know how to say. The other characters that aren't the main characters, they're the ones that got me. Not the main two, everybody else. They were the ones that got me hardest in this book. Perhaps because there was such a large focus on everyone else in this book, not just the main two of Akiva and Karoo. But I really started falling for everybody else. Even Eliza, the new girl, who you won't know unless you've read this book. I like her too, and I felt really sorry for her, and I really felt connected to her. And that's something that I'm really glad we've got from this last one in the series. That's a good thing. I liked that. I really enjoyed the plot of these books because it was good. And it somehow built and built and built and built into this glorious piece of work. At the end of the last book, I was sure I knew where this was going. And I didn't. I did not one bit. I thought it would be predictable. I was prepared for it to be predictable. And it didn't. And that was amazing. That left me zooming through this like it was nobody's business. Staying up really late. I finished this at after midnight last night, which is a big deal for me. I'm not normally up that late. I'm a little bit of I don't wake early, but I don't go to bed late either. 11 o'clock's like, oh, I'm tired. But this kept me up. This had me wanting to get to the end. It was one of those books where you're 10 pages from the end, you're right there, you're practically at the end. And you're nah, it's too happy. We're 10 chapters to go. 10 short chapters to go. That's still a lot of novel. And we're happy. Something has to go wrong. And it did. And it was glorious. Well, it went wrong and then it resolved, and it was a good ending. It was a really good ending. That being a cop-out too. Sometimes I feel like you can get to the end and it's just a bit of a happily ever after where you feel like the rest of the novel was avoiding the idea of happily ever afters and then they just cop out in the end. This book didn't do that. This book still felt like something important was happening at the end, which I really enjoyed. So I guess what I'm saying is this book deserves everybody to read it, and the whole series too. And the whole series too, if you haven't already read them. The first one, second one, the final and third one. Read the series, because it's amazing. And just read it. If you like fantasy and you like sci-fi elements, you will really love this series. At least I really love this series. And I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads because, I loved it and it deserved it. And it was amazing. So that was all for today, and I'll see you next week or when I finish my next book.